Ladies and gentlemen, can I please have your attention? I've just been handed an urgent and horrifying news story, and I need all of you to stop what you're doing and listen.
I am that dude, Bodkins.
Yeah, DP lost like, beef. Yeah.
Right, where he's wondering, he's like, I
Patty to patty.
He won style, like no weight classes.
Yeah, basically, like I said, there's been a couple guys that are like,
It's ridiculous. No way. There's nobody else out there. He's your guy.
That's just not my mentality, bro.
Yeah. Leave the ladder down. That's my always like, hey, somebody helped you out. Why not help somebody else out? Return.
Give a big round of applause for the one and only Bodkins Show.
Or bringing Craig Counsell down the interstate. In a move unexpected. I had people.
I'm going to repeat that again, folks. I didn't stutter. Welcome to the Bodkins Show.
Good morning, everybody. Welcome to another great episode of the Bodkins Show. I'm your host, Bodkins, baby. And you know what it is on our Sunday morning jam-packed show. This is where, our weekly dump, where we dump any problems out, anything that has happened the past week. It could be personal, it could be sports related, it could be pop culture related. We talk about it all. My first, I guess I kind of dump in the morning here is this NIL deal. The kid from Tennessee, I think he was making $2 million, and somewhere around there. I'm gonna butcher his name. It's Nico something, Imafala or whatever. I'm not too sure how to say his last name, but he's the head coach. He was the starting quarterback of the Tennessee Volunteers. He's haggling. Says, "Hey man, my NIL deal, I want $4 million." And Tennessee pretty much said, nah. And then start opening day of spring camp, quarterback ain't there. And the coach said, Josh Heupel, and good on him, saying, see you down the road. We don't want you. Like these kids, like you're going to have to, like, I feel like I've said this before, they're going to have to regulate this a little bit. And these parents, and from what I've read, is like a lot of it has to do with this kid's dad trying to say he deserves more money. He needs to make more money. Like while it's like a semi-professional, they're also giving him full education. And don't get me wrong, I believe he deserves to play, and to get paid. But at some point we got to draw the line. And good on Josh Heupel saying, you know what, we can find somebody else. You're not $4 million of our NIL money, due. And these parents, man, like, you know what I mean? I think every parent wants their kid to make the maximum amount of money, be successful. But now when this kid goes to transfer, and I say that, but like, what's his other teammates going to look like? But at the end of the day, we all know how it is. Winning cures everything. So he goes to another team. And I don't know if another team's going to pay him that kind of money. What happens if another team doesn't pay him that money? And then this kid's just kind of, going to have to backtrack. And then he's going to have to go to a different, smaller university, or things could happen. I'm just saying there's repercussions to all this, to the end of the day. And they're going to have to figure this out. And these parents have got to stop pushing all these expectations and saying these things. That I feel like that's always when you got to deal when somebody else is butting in. Let this kid make his own decisions, and maybe he didn't want to be at Tennessee, and that's why. But he didn't ever enter the transfer portal, and now it's almost a little too late. And we'll see what happens with this kid. So, of course, to talk about everything with this past week is none other than Mr. Yankee fan, Mr. Johnny Cruz. Johnny, what's up, my man? Good morning.
What's going on, bro? Happy to be here for another Sunday dump. This is a good one here. This NIL thing, we've talked about this before a bit. I'm with you that there's gonna have to be some type of regulations or something on it. They're gonna have to come up with some type of structure for it, because I mean, let's be real. I mean, these kids have always been getting money underneath the table. Now it's out and it's in the open. So these kids, like $4 million, like that's crazy that the kid's asking for it. But you know what? Why not ask for it? You know what I'm saying? I mean, it's gotten to that point where these kids are asking for crazy amounts of money, you know, so you're paying for their services, and I'm with you. I'm all for these kids getting paid. You know, the coaches and the universities have been making hella money off of these kids' backs for so many years. Like I'm glad the kids are getting paid, but there has to be some type of structure to it, because then you do have situations like this. And what if the kid winds up having to sit out a year? Like that's just gonna make his opportunities later on harder to come by. But the point about the parents is, unfortunately, that's never going to stop, because there's always going to be parents that are trying to be successful through their kids.
Yeah,
you know, they want their kids to make that money so that they get straight. You know what I'm saying? So, because I mean, it goes all the way down to, I mean, that's part of why I stopped umpiring little league games. You know what I'm saying? Because the parents are just going crazy over these, 7, 8, 9-year-old kids and shit. Like, your kid ain't going pro, bro. You know what I'm saying? Like, calm down. But they, you know what I'm saying, that they're living through their kids, and they figure their kid's success is their success, and it's gotten out of hand. But this kid, like, I just hope he's able to play. You know what I'm saying? Like, we'll figure, he'll have to figure out something. He's probably going to have to come down on that $4 million. I mean, I don't know how good this kid is, how highly rated he is. I mean, obviously, if he was making $2 million, he's got to be pretty good. But the sad thing is that somebody will give it to him. Will give it to him.
My question is these kids need advisors. Like, who's advising these kids? And I mean, like, financial wise, like, in good on them, I guess, like, right, you got to be professional. But I imagine, like, I look at myself, like, if somebody gave me $4 million at 19, 20, 22 years old. And maybe that's why, I wasn't disciplined enough to, but that's a lot of money. You know what I mean? And and these kids are showing up in Ferraris and just, you know what I mean? Like they're young, they're still young adults, and they're going to make mistakes, but where they go pro or not, they're almost financially set up for the rest of their lives, but they still need to. But like, man, somebody just needs to advise them, because they're gonna go like broke, right? Like that's just. Even in NFL, we see in the NFL all the time. There's the old adage. I don't know what it is, but it's like high average of like 1 in 7 or 1 in 5 NFL players play 4 years and then they go broke, right? Because they're all the money at such a young age. Like now we're asking 19, 18, 19, 20-year-olds. We're giving them $4 million is insane.
Yeah, I'm with you on that, man. It's probably a good thing, even though I would have, obviously my family would have been better, in a better position had I gotten $4 million at 18, 19 years old. But oh my God, the trouble I would have gotten in with that much money at that age.
Right.
Right. But I'm with you. That's why there's going to have to be some type of structure on some type of cap breakdown on how much you can spend for certain positions and stuff like that. Like just to make it a level playing field. Yeah. And maybe part of that does need to be some type of, financial classes that they have to take or whatever, you know what I'm saying, to help these kids be able to manage their money. I mean, if the main thing is really the benefit of the student athlete, quote unquote, even though these kids are professionals, once they start getting paid. But if your main concern is really the best for the kid, then there should be some type of structure. And then, some type of financial classes that they need to take in order, for them to be able to know how to manage their money and make sure that they're good. Because I hear you, that you hear all those stories of guys in pro leagues going bankrupt because they think that money's not going to stop coming in. Yeah. You know what I'm saying? They don't realize their careers are a lot shorter than they're probably thinking. So if they don't put that money away and invest and stuff like that, they're going to wind up broke. So it's a crazy thing. I mean, when they first, let the NIL thing go, there were a lot of coaches, Coach K and all of them. That's why Nick Saban, that's why they got out of it, was because they knew that it was going to be crazy, before it got some type of structure and sanctioning or whatever. So, it's the wild, wild west right now. And, these kids are just asking for insane amounts of money. So we'll see. They're going to have to come up with something.
Yeah, we'll stick in the college. Let's travel back to Monday. And I know you're not obviously you're a U fan, but the Florida Gators
Mhm.
won the national title. What a comeback it was! I mean, they were down double digits again in that game, and were able to battle back and beat Houston. You know, I did give our guys at Just Fans a hard time about it, so I told them to chew their food softly because I didn't want to. A couple of Houston boys, we already seen enough choking. So, your thoughts? I mean, Florida's best player took a long time to kind of get going in that game, and but they got it done. And how about another young coach? Their coach, I think, is only in his mid-30s. Developing, getting a team. A lot of those guys were transfers, but putting a team together and going on a run here.
Yeah, absolutely. Props to all the Gator fans out there. Like you mentioned, a big comeback win. That wasn't the first time. They apparently they had been doing that, a lot throughout the
They were down
season.
10 at halftime to Auburn. You know what I mean? So
Right,
it's like
right.
back-to-back,
So I
yeah.
mean, props on the coach for instilling a mentality of never quitting in this team. They definitely weren't my pick to make it as far as they made it. I didn't even have them in my Final Four, even though they were a number one seed. But I
Yeah.
tried not to go chalk because it usually never comes up like that. And then, of course, we wind up with 3 out of 4 number ones and a number 2.
Yeah. No, all 4 number 1 seeds made it.
Oh yeah, actually, yeah, you're right. All 4 number 1 seeds made it.
Yeah. I
I
think that's the way it's going to be for now on. I think it's going to be more chalk.
Probably because, again, with the NIL and stuff like that, like you're saying, the transfer portal, those top schools are going to keep on getting the best players in the nation. So it's going to be interesting to see. But as far as Florida's concerned, again, props to the coach. You mentioned, he's a younger coach, but instilling that mentality of never quitting, never giving up. Fighting to the clocks are all at 0. So props to the Gators. Shout out to Wifey, who's a Gator fan. She's got an NCAA title, that she can brag on for a bit. But no, it was a good game. I feel bad. Shout out to the Just Fans guys. I know they were probably feeling themselves thinking that Houston was going to come up with that win, but nope, Florida snatched it from them. So
and they didn't even. The sad thing is, they didn't even get a shot off in the final.
Yeah,
that's for that game. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
the kid did, knew he couldn't touch it again, but you got to just not a good, not to be able to get a shot off where you didn't really give your team a chance in that final.
Right.
Ticks there,
Yeah, and you would have thought that Coach Sampson had some type of a better play called or something like that, or drawn up. And he might have. We who knows what the kids, because at that moment those kids might have panicked. Because the kids were probably feeling themselves too when they were up, at late in that game, thinking that they had it, and all of a sudden Florida's coming back on them.
Yeah.
But you got to feel for those Houston kids because they're going to be thinking about that for a long time. Just like, not for nothing, the kids at Duke who you're saying they should have won that game. So Cooper flagging them or constantly replaying that shit over and over again in their heads of what they could have done to make things different or whatever. But this winding up being a 2-point game. There's a lot of moments in the end of that game that those kids are going to remember, unfortunately for bad reasons for a long time.
Yeah. Somebody's always got to win and somebody's always got to lose. And that's, that's the world we live in. That's sports, baby.
Yeah, that's exactly right.
And unfortunately, Houston was they had to come back against Duke. And then, unfortunately, they're the ones that, what goes around comes around, and they had to come back against them. So kudos to Florida for winning the national title. And let's get the shocking news, I think, all week was the Denver Nuggets firing Mike Malone. John, we sat here last Sunday and had the conversation. Who's MVP, Jokic or Shea, and who would have thought then that 4 days later, that the Nuggets would fire their head coach.
Yeah, that was pretty shocking. I mean, it's unprecedented for a coach to be fired literally 3 games before the end of the season. It's not like the team was in 8th, 9th, in the play-in,
They
barely making the playoffs.
They were falling back because
They had lost
Yeah.
like 3 straight or something like that, and they were like
Yeah.
4-6 or 3-7 in the last 10 or whatever. But they were still in 4th place. And granted, 4 through 7 and 8 or whatever, 3 through 7 and 8 are basically like 1 game apart. So I mean, anything can happen. But he just won a chip 2 years ago.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? Now
they said what is it? 4 out of the last 6 NBA Finals coaches have been fired.
Yeah, because the NBA don't care. The NBA is such a players' league, the whole player empowerment thing. So if they're not happy with the coach, they can get rid of any coach at any point in time. Now he was a prickly type dude. You know what I'm saying? Like you could tell in his press conferences, he was a smart ass, and he always had some type of comment to say to the reporters and stuff like that. So I wasn't the biggest fan of his as far as the way he acted or whatever, but obviously he was a good coach. But for all the people that
coach of all time.
Yeah. And I mean, and he was the longest tenured. I mean, he was there, 12 years or something like that. It was some crazy 10, 12 years. My thing is, I don't think Joker made it happen, but he clearly didn't tell them no.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? Because you would think they had to have come to him and be like, look, this is what we're planning on doing. You know what I'm saying? And if he wanted him to stay there, I'm sure he would have put up a fight, like, no, you need to leave him, do it after the season, whatever. I'm sure they would have listened to Jokic. But we talked about it last week when we talked about the MVP. His mentality is so blah, you know what I'm saying, when it comes to NBA. Like, this is his job and that's it. Yeah. He doesn't, you know what I'm saying? So he probably was like, whatever. You know what I'm saying? If you're going to fire him, okay. You know what I'm saying? Like, he probably didn't put up much of clearly he didn't put up much of a fight for Mike Malone. So, yeah, it was definitely shocking. But in the NBA, yeah, man, you it's, it's similar to hockey. Where hockey, I mean, they'll fire guys after like 6 games to start a season. You know what I'm saying? So it's gotten crazier over the last like 10 years in the NBA because it was never like this. You know what I'm saying? Now, like you mentioned, you know what I'm saying, 4 of the last 6 championship coaches have lost their jobs. That's crazy to think that, you know what I'm saying, that a championship doesn't give you any type of leash. You know what I'm saying? So yeah, it's crazy, man.
I guess from what I'm just kind of like pulling up to kind of refresh him. So he had been there at 10 years from 2015 to 2025.
Okay.
So, he'd been their longest tenured coach as well. And it's like, you saying like he had a prick attitude. It's like the first thing you put is like Michael Malone reportedly was not calm after Nuggets informed him of firing. Well, who the fuck, first of all, who the fuck would be calm? You know what I mean? Like he wasn't calm about it. Like,
right.
Like, first of all, a normal ass person, if they walked into your job and like, Johnny, you're fired today, like, you're probably not going to be calm about it either. Much less you're in the heat of a fucking NBA. You've won an NBA championship. You've been like coach of the year. You've you've done all these things. You're in the midst of a playoff push where where people still think that you could possibly make a run.
Right.
And you're getting, and then they just be like, hey, you're fired. You know what I mean? So from my understanding is what like Brian Windhurst was reporting, they wanted to fire him before they won the championship. Like then they won the championship. So then they just kept like that kind of cured the problems. But there's a lot of problems behind the scenes. It seemed like they haven't really said what those problems were, like what those issues. I guess like him and the general manager clash. Well, the general manager's gone now too.
Yeah,
they're not renewing his contract. So like they're starting just straight blank. I've seen different reports like the Cronkies. Like I've seen things where they've had good. Like they'll fire coaches after winning, like usually like after the Avalanche or they own a soccer team. Like that guy won a championship not too long, and then he was fired. But I was like, well, they own the Rams, and Sean McVay's been there a while, so like, who knows? You know what I mean? Like, there's different, but they own several sports teams. But it's interesting because like nobody like to do it like you said 3 games before the season ends. But I guess like what Wendy was saying, they didn't want him. Like they thought if he won, like got to the Western Conference Finals.
Yeah, if he went on a run, they'd get more criticism for letting him go.
Yes, yeah. So it's like, well, we're on a 4-game losing streak. Let's just fire him now. Let's fire him now,
right?
Before it gets worse. Like I just don't.
I mean, I'm with you on that. Like there has to have been deeper issues and deeper things for them to do it as drastically as they did it. You know what I'm saying? The timing of it with just a couple games left in the season. And again, they're making a playoff push. Granted, they had lost 3 in a row, but they're right in the middle of the playoff hunt, competing. You got the best player in the league on your team. I had heard about the friction between the head coach and the general manager or whatever. So, I mean, I guess, like I said, the thing that's striking people as unusual or whatever is obviously the timing of it. You know what I'm saying? Had they at the end of the season, whatever, lost in whatever round, whatever, that's normal, that happens. But to just in the middle of the week, you know what I'm saying, with 3 games left, to fire him just like that and to not renew the general manager was just a bit weird and unusual. You don't usually see something like that. So, and what you mentioned about him, nobody's gonna be happy about it. Who the hell's gonna be calm about getting fired, especially in a situation like that again where it's unprecedented. You're competing to try to get a good playoff spot, and then all of a sudden you're fired. Yeah, I wouldn't be happy about it either.
Yeah.
But it's going to be interesting to see what happens. I want to say that they won one of their last 3 games. You know what I'm saying? They got everybody plays today, and there's still 1 game separating, 3 through 7. So it's crazy because 1 loss, like they're in the 4 spot now.
So I think the Lakers, Houston, and OKC, like from what I understand, is like those 3 teams locked in. Like those are locked in.
The top 3 spots. Okay, so the Lakers must have like the tiebreaker over the Nuggets and Clippers.
Yeah.
Okay. So 4 through 8 or 4 through 7.
4 through 7, the seeding is up in there. Yeah.
Yeah, and so that's crazy. So, which this is the one good thing because I am not a fan of the play-in. Like that's to me, 10 teams out of 15 in the conference is fucking ridiculous, to be quite honest. You know what I'm saying? Like that's just too many teams making the playoffs. But this was their goal, was to make it exciting all the way to the end. So now you're coming to game 82 and there's a lot on the line. So I get it in that sense. I'm not a fan of it still, but I understand, you know what I'm saying, what their thinking was, making these games have more meaning and have more weight to them. But you're talking about teams that are way under 500 having a chance to make the playoff. Like, come on, man. You know what I'm saying? But it's going to be fun. It's going to be a fun day of basketball to see, you know what I'm saying, see where the people wind up sitting and all the, we'll know all the matchups for the playoffs after today. So it's going to be interesting to see what happens.
The East is set. Yeah. But the West is still up in there. Well, let me ask you this before we kind of look at the East, like just kind of the Eastern stuff here, and maybe kind of figure out the West here. But are you a proponent? Because I'm almost to the point, if you're going to do these play-in games, just do I wouldn't mind doing like just not a East versus West and just do it all together. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I've wanted them honestly to do that for the longest time because you had like in the early 2000s, you had the long stretch where the Western Conference was just so much better than the Eastern Conference.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? So it was like you had, really good teams with really good winning records in the West that barely made the playoffs or had to compete, with the number 1 seed over there, while you had teams, under 500 in the East making it into the playoffs. So I've always been a fan of just throw them all together and just let the top 16 teams, again, this is the old way when it was 16. Now it's 20, which is insane. But just the top 16 teams, and then just let them battle it out. The thing against it was always, the logistics of them having to fly over here. Bro, they fly private jets everywhere, bro. So stop that shit. It's not like they're on commercial flights and have to sit at the airport for hours waiting for a plane. No, they're on a private jet flying. So don't give me this, it's hard for them to get back. Nah, man, I'm with you. I wish they would do that. I think it would make it more compelling.
I think you get better matchup.
Yeah. I totally agree with that. You know what I'm saying? I think it would be a lot more entertaining as far as the matchups, like you said. The only thing is that, like, you're gonna have like 10 teams out of the West and only 6 in the East. You know what I'm saying? But the way I see it is, it'll put more emphasis on the regular season games. You know what I'm saying? You're not going to have guys sitting out as much because you got to win every game. You know what I'm saying? You got to win as many games as possible just to make sure you're in it, which is one reason why I'm not a fan of the play-in, because they can still sit out all these games and not stress it because they know they just got to be in the top 10, which is crazy.
And you look at I'm looking at the East. So like the Heat, 37-44. Like, you know what I mean? Like, the Bulls, 38,
and that's going 7-3 in the last 10.
Yeah, the Bulls, 38-43. You know what I mean? The Hawks, 39-42. Like, all three of those teams shouldn't be in. Now, one of those teams actually would still be in. It's crazy because like the Hawks would still be at the 8th seed at 39-42. You know what I mean? But like if you did the whole, like, just everybody together, these are the best 16 teams in the league. You know what I mean? Like they would be out, you know, because
the last team, it would be, you would have in the West, you would have the top 8.
Yeah.
And then 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14. So the Magic would barely make it. They'd be the 15th team. And then it'd be a battle between the Kings, Mavericks, and Hawks for the final spot. But even that, I mean, you could make it to where there's like a tournament and shit for the last spot. You know what I'm saying? Similar to this play-in.
Straight tiebreakers, man.
I guess, because you get to this point, you just want to get the playoffs going.
Yeah.
But again, that would be. I'm with you. There'd be a lot more compelling and interesting matchups if they did it that way. But they're never going to do it that way because they want to. You know what I'm saying, that they'll lose money somehow because a lot of teams will be out of it a lot earlier, and that's the whole point of the play-in is to try to keep as many teams into it as possible, so that, you know, which is sad again that they have to do that to get guys to play. You know what I'm saying? Because there was, you know, this whole player empowerment thing and the load management thing has. That's why, I barely watch the NBA now, unless there's like a really good matchup. I barely watch the NBA because, and even then, when there's a really good matchup, you got to check to see if everybody's playing. Yeah. You know what I'm saying? Because I think some of their main guys may be sitting out.
Once the sports books open up here and you can start gambling on the NBA a little bit, I'll probably start watching a little bit more. Like when I was in Vegas and I could gamble on it, like I was more intrigued, right? Because like,
you got a couple of dollars on it. Yeah.
So I think like I'll probably want to tune in a little bit more once that happens. And we're back to the Fire coaches. So three coaches in the Western Conference that made the playoffs. Their teams had fired their coach. Sacramento. I remember they fired Mike Brown like around the All-Star break.
Yeah.
We were off air during Memphis when they fired their head coach, and and then the Denver the Nuggets. So like it's wild to think that. You know, and that's not the first time it happened. Now, I think for the Nuggets, obviously, they said it was the latest any coach has ever been fired into a season that's going to make the playoffs, and they can still make a run. Like they're still so talented. Like I don't think anybody would be surprised if it's not like them and OKC. Well, I guess if they're the 1 and 4 seed, they would play in the second round. If they both advance, but like. You know what I mean? Like, nobody would be surprised if the Nuggets were in the Western Conference Finals.
And how much credit would you give the interim coach if, let's say, they do make it to the finals? You know what I'm saying? Like, how much credit are you going to give the interim coach? Like, was it really his coaching, or was it just the talent that's on the team? You know what I'm saying? Because obviously the talent is good. They just won a title, and it's pretty much the same team. You still got, you know, in my opinion, the best player in the league right now in Joker.
Yeah.
So I mean, is he gonna get, you know what I'm saying, an opportunity to coach them long term, or is he gonna get another coaching opportunity because he led them, you know what I'm saying, to the Western Conference Finals, even though he just took over, he just took over 2 days ago. You know what I'm saying? Like, that's crazy.
Will he be the coach that they bring back? You know what I mean? You know who?
But would they bring him back?
That's what I mean. Yeah. Will he be the coach that they bring? Yeah. Will he be brought back? Yeah. You know who? He's Rick Alderman. Remember Rick Alderman's coach the Kings back in the day.
Yeah, back in the day, Chris Webber and them days. Yeah.
Yeah, that's his. It's his son.
Oh, okay. All right. Nice. So I mean, he's got coaching in his blood.
Yeah.
And he probably does have a good basketball mind, and he probably, you know what I'm saying? I mean, one thing about when the coach is there for 10 plus, you know what I'm saying, like that, sometimes you just need a new voice. Sometimes you just need a new voice or whatever. And the message gets stale. Like, I ain't gonna front, like, you know, I know you tease with the whole Knicks thing. Like, I think Tom Thibodeau's like, I think he's wearing out his welcome in New York, bro, to be completely honest. And I think that happens. You know what I'm saying? Yeah, somebody's there for a long time, you get tired of hearing the same thing, especially if you start losing.
Yeah. Well, I think too with these hard-nosed coaches like that, right? Like, you know what I mean? Larry Brown, look at Larry Brown, Hall of Fame basketball coach, jumped from place to place or got fired place to place because he was so tough on his players. Like, eventually it just wears on you. It wears on the player. It's just like, man, we can't play. We can no longer play for this guy anymore because it just wears down on you so much.
Yeah, and that's why coaches that have played and that have a more player friendly like a Steve Kerr, you know what I'm saying? That's why he's had so much success. He's a lot, you know what I'm saying? I mean, I'm sure he's disciplined with his players to an extent, but at the same time, he's a player's coach. He's a lot closer to it having played or whatever. So yeah, definitely the times of the iron fisted type of coaches, and that's in any sports league. This generation of players is not trying to hear that. You know what I'm saying? So I don't know. It's gonna be interesting to see what happens, but I kind of, I'm a Joker fan, so I kind of hope they go on a run. It's gonna be interesting to see. Happy for the Houston Rockets because they were hot garbage for several years, and now, you know what I'm saying, to have the number 2 seed in the West, props to them. They got a lot of young talent, bro.
Yeah, the Pistons too, right? Like,
man. Teams, like I ain't gonna, bro. Like the Knicks better watch their ass, bro, because the Detroit Pistons, man, they got a good young squad. They're a physical team. Cade Cunningham is coming into his own. It's going to be interesting to see. Like, this is the part of the NBA that I get excited about, is that the actual playoffs and stuff. The regular season, like, again, certain matchups, I want to watch, but then again, you don't know if like the stars are going to play. But in the playoffs is like, you know what I'm saying? I'm excited for the playoffs. I'm excited to see if I'm hoping Kawhi can stay healthy. I'm not the biggest James Harden fan, but I like Kawhi. I hope he stays healthy to see what the Clippers can possibly do. It's gonna be interesting to see what happens, man. Playoff sports period is the best time, man. So I'm anxious to see what happens. I hope OKC makes it to the final though. Like I want Shea and because that's a nice young squad too, bro. I want them to get over that hump and at least make it to the final. We'll see what happens.
Yeah, it seems like we're getting a lot of like some of these, like we just the Pistons and the Rockets, especially like 2 teams for the last like 3 years have just been, absolute dog shit. The Pistons been dog shit for like half a decade and plus, and now here they are finally making the playoffs. Like they finally got the right, Cade Cunningham. They got the right couple pieces. They finally hit on some draft picks. And the Rockets, they hit on some draft picks, and then getting Ime Udoka, who
dude,
like that was huge for them, I thought. So getting the right coaches in there as well, like building the right culture with these young kids. Like that Rockets team is going to be dangerous for years to come. It's like he went from a good young team in Boston, now he's doing the same thing in Houston. So
I'm actually happy for him. I mean, I don't know the specifics, and I mean, all the whole situation that happened in Boston. I mean, that's none of my business. That's whatever happened over there. But I'm happy
Yeah.
for him getting another opportunity with a nice young squad. Because I like the talent that Houston has put together. They're a fun team, fun athletic team to watch. They remind me of the Thunder. I like the Thunder with the young enthusiasm and the way their style of play. Shea is special. But the Jalen Green kid, he's coming into his own for Houston. Like he's a phenomenal athlete and basketball player. He's only going to get better. So yeah, these young teams, like I'm telling you, these teams better watch out. Now I'm going to mention the Lakers because Luka is fucking phenomenal. You know what I'm saying? So I would not be surprised if the Lakers make a run. And one thing that pissed me off, so here's my part of my rant and my dump. I saw somebody on Twitter or somewhere made a comment about, ooh, LeBron's about to get his 5th ring, so that'll put him over Jordan. Like, stop. Like, people need to stop with that shit, because if the Lakers were to win a championship this year, do you really think it's because of LeBron James? Or is it because they have a top 5 player and a generational talent in Luka? You know what I'm saying? So if he was to win a championship, props for getting his 5th one, but that does not put him anywhere closer to Jordan, because it's not like he dominated and got them to that point to win another championship. You know what I'm saying? That's the difference that this generation or LeBron fans don't understand. Michael Jordan was the reason that they won all 6 of his titles. LeBron James is not the reason that he has won his 4, and if he possibly wins another one, his 5th title. Like he wasn't the main one on those championship teams. Because not for nothing.
Yeah, I would say the Heat. I would give him the ones in the
Yeah, I'll give him props on the Heat, but he also had a top 5 player in Dwayne Wade, and he had Chris Bosh. Right.
But when he went to Cleveland and won the one,
But who hit the big shot to win that game against Golden State? It was Kyrie. You know what I'm saying? I'm just saying, like, Kyrie had 40 in that game. You know what I'm saying? Like, people don't remember that. People just say, oh, he hit the last shot. Now, he had 40, and he was averaging 30-something the whole series. And then in the bubble, like, Anthony Davis was dominating everybody in the bubble. You know what I'm saying? So he led them to that championship, even though somehow LeBron James got, NBA finals, even though, Anthony Davis, led them in points, rebounds, and blocks and all that stuff. But again, that just hit me wrong that they said, oh yeah, if he wins his 5th, he'll catch. No, he ain't catching Jordan. Like that conversation needs to end.
Let me ask you this: what if Steph Curry because the Warriors could very well just, you know what I mean? Like, we've seen it before.
Yeah.
Where they go on a magical kind of run here, and they win the finals.
Yeah.
Like, at that point in time, like, we got to have a discussion about Steph Curry and where he fits in. His legacy. You know what I mean?
You're absolutely right. And if anything,
because that would be his 5th ring, right?
Right.
Like, you know what I mean? Like,
so what does that say about LeBron James and his era? If there was another dude that dominated the era and won as many titles as him. You know what I'm saying? Like, again, that's the difference that people don't understand. It's not just that Jordan won 6. It's just that nobody else dominated during his era.
Yeah,
like,
nobody else won.
He was the one that dominated. You have Golden State and Steph Curry, who has a dominating run in LeBron James era. Like, you can't. Again, he's a great, phenomenal player, but to say he's the greatest ever when he couldn't even be the most dominant player or team in his own era, because there's somebody else who won 4, possibly 5 titles.
Yeah,
like that debunks the argument right there. But I would not be surprised, bro. That Jimmy Butler trade was insane for the Warriors, bro. Like,
and
that
was playoff Jimmy. You know what I mean? Like,
yes.
That's a thing.
Right. A motor. That is a thing, dude. Because the whole Paul George playoff P, nah, bro. Like, that was made up in your own head. You know what I'm saying? Like, there is playoff Jimmy. And he's got a chip on his shoulder with the shit that so he's just the perfect player to have with Steph Curry and company. Like, I would not be surprised if they went on a run at all. So it's like I said, the playoffs should be fun.
They would take on the Lakers in the first round.
Yeah.
Like,
and would anybody be surprised if Golden State like easily gets through them? No, I wouldn't be surprised.
Yeah. I
You know
think it
what I'm
would go
saying?
6 or 7 games. But
Yeah. I mean, it should be a competitive game, but I wouldn't put it past Golden State to, you know what I'm saying? Because that's, again, the Lakers don't play no D, bro.
yeah.
They don't play no D. So, you know what I'm saying? If it's going to be interesting, you know what I'm saying? That's going to be a fun matchup.
Yeah, it'll be interesting to see what happens there.
Right.
I'm trying to look at any other news we need to hit on real quick before we kind of get to the back end of the show here. Um, it, Not much in the world of baseball as far as news. Obviously,
It's
um,
still early in the season.
yep, still early in the season. I'm just kind of browsing through here. I mean, we were kind of exactly at where we're the same spot we were last week. Um, I mean, I just want to shout out, like, I know it's early, but that damn AL West, bro, or NL West, like,
Yeah, dude.
those three teams right now, they all have over 10 wins. Like the Padres 12-3. My Cubs beat them twice, by the way. The Giants 10-4. The Dodgers 11-5. Like,
Yeah, San Francisco's playing my Yankees right now, and they like, except for yesterday, like they've been dominating the Yankees, bro. I ain't gonna front. That San Francisco team they got a good squad, bro. So yeah, I'm with you with the NL West. Like, it's gonna be interesting to see.
I mean, the Rockies right now 3-11, and they got to go up against those teams. That's you know what I mean. In Arizona's no slouch. They're 8-7, and like in another, you know what I mean. Like,
Right.
they're pretty good. They're a good team too. I mean, they're 2 years removed from the World Series. So
Yeah, and they have good pitching, which will always give you an opportunity.
yeah. Still very early, but it's just like you look at it, man. Like, if I'm a Rockies fan, and I don't know very many of them, it's just like, fuck, we might as well just, you know what I mean?
Right.
Like, yep.
Right. That's when you're hoping for some type of expansion or whatever. Put us in the American League or something, man. Because not only do you have to deal with the juggernaut that is the Dodgers, but you got San Francisco, San Diego, and Arizona, which are well-run franchises. They know how to put teams together. So sorry, Colorado.
Yeah.
I wish you would have won that one chip when you went into the World Series against, and then it was against Boston too. So I was really rooting for Colorado to win.
Yeah.
And I think they got swept by Boston. Yeah.
Yeah.
You had your shot. Now it's, you know what I'm saying? Oof. But yeah, no, that NOS is scary good, man. It's gonna be interesting to see what happens. You know, is San Diego or San Francisco or Arizona, are they able to make a move, you know, at the trade deadline if they're still close and it's a competitive race throughout, you know, saying the season? Like, what move can be made for one of those teams to possibly leapfrog the Dodgers? Because the Dodgers are expected to be there because of all the talent, you know, saying the stars that they have on that team. So, you know, can San Francisco or one of the other teams make a move that'll give them an opportunity to overthrow the Dodgers? It's gonna be interesting to see, man. But San Francisco's they're playing well, man. Like I said, the Yankees snuck one out yesterday, but San Francisco's been battling hard, and you know what I'm saying, they're a fun team to watch, man. They got some good young talent on that team.
Yeah, we put it on the Cubs put it on the Dodgers yesterday, 13-0.
Nice.
So that was nice.
Nice.
But switch to some NFL, just some quick hits here in the NFL. Derek Carr's status for next season up in the air. Could be, he could be done like with a shoulder injury. The Saints. I would look to see if they draft a quarterback here in the draft. Like, they don't even have a good backup. Like, they didn't go out and get like a veteran backup.
Right.
You know what I mean? Like, they didn't go out and get anybody. I'm about to say Andrew Luck, but Drew Lock set for he returns back to Seattle on a 1-year deal. Joe Flacco 1-year contract with the Browns, so maybe he's going to be their starter next year. Remember, he filled in nicely when he was there the last time. But this just happened. Our legendary cornerback Patrick Peterson returned to Arizona and going to set to retire as a Cardinal, man.
Nice.
One time, this guy's going to go. He's going to end up going to the Hall of Fame. 8-time Pro Bowler. The dude. 13 years. Unfortunately, never got that Super Bowl. Super Bowl ring. I guess I didn't even realize he didn't play last year. I thought he was still with the Steelers, but that was the year before. But Patrick Peterson, one of the best corners, of his generation, set to retire.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Absolutely. And I like I like stories like that where they sign like the 1-day contract with their original team to retire as a member of that organization. I like with stuff like that. But yeah, he was a dominant corner for a long time. That's the unfortunate thing about the NFL. Like it's hard. You know what I'm saying? Like it's hard because there's so many factors and players on the field at the same time. So you do have dominant players like that wind up, and they had their run too. You know what I'm saying? Playing Pittsburgh in that one Super Bowl with Kurt Warner.
I don't know if he was on that team. Was he?
Yeah, he was on that team.
No, that was 13. That was over 15 years ago. He's only been playing.
Oh my God, was it really that long ago?
Yeah. Bro, that was like
I'm old, bro.
07, 08.
Yeah, you're right. Damn, that was a long time ago. Yes, that was probably like right before he got there.
Yeah, right before he got there.
Yeah. But again, you know what I'm saying? Like I said, the NFL's hard, but great player. I'm glad he's there. As far as the Saints thing that you were touching on, like there was a lot of stuff about Shador possibly sliding. Would the Saints grab him? I think that's more of a possibility now. If he does slide, does Jackson Dart wind up being a top 10 quarterback because of this situation? I mean, I like the kid. He's somebody I was hoping the Dolphins could possibly grab in the second or third round. Now all of a sudden he's a top 10. Now all of a sudden he's possibly a top 10 pick and shit. Like that's crazy. Yeah. But hey, I like when shit like that happens.
Seems something, you know what I mean, where they can sit him for a little bit, So
right. But I mean, the Saints may be desperate. You know what I'm saying? Now with this Derek Carr thing, but I like when stuff like that happens, honestly, because that just means that there's a better chance that a good player can fall to my Dolphins at 13. So yeah, take as many quarterbacks in the top 10 as you guys want, man.
Yeah, well, and now with the Flacco, will the Browns? So it doesn't seem like they're going to take a quarterback at 2. So that'll be interesting.
I think they go Hunter, bro. They want the best player on the board. Yeah. I think they go Hunter.
Where do the Giants do? Do the Giants, you know what I mean? Like they need a quarterback of the future. Like I know they got Russ right now, but
yeah. But see, that's the thing. Like Brian Dable, like they kind of have to win.
Yeah,
you know what I'm saying. Yeah. So they may, if Abdul Carter's there, he's the best defensive player, best pass rusher. You know what I'm saying? You put him on that defensive line with some of the other players they got on the Giants.
Burns,
yeah, dude, and Dexter Lawrence, I believe, is on that team, ain't he? Yeah. Like that's a hell of a front right there, bro. So, I mean, and that's the key. You got to be able to put pressure on the quarterback, man. So it's gonna be interesting to see how those top 4 or 5 picks go, because that's gonna determine how the draft's gonna play out, depending on what those first few picks wind up doing.
Yeah. I'm right there with you. Let's move. We'll get into your brief movie. You went and watched The Amateur. We talked about it last week. I said, man, I need to. That's the one I need to go to the movies to see.
Yeah, definitely recommend it. It was an exciting, you know what I'm saying, type of thriller, spy thriller, kind of, sort of. He's a computer expert for the CIA. His wife gets killed, and then he goes on a mission to try to go after those guys, but he's having to deal with his own CIA kind of like going up against him, because again, he's a computer dude, he's not a field agent. So but he's smart as hell, and he comes up with some crazy ways to do what it is that he needs to do. It was a lot of fun, a good ride. Rami Malek, saying one of the best actors out right now. Yeah. You got some Lawrence Fishburne in it a little bit, saying you got a little Punisher, John Bernthal is in it for a little bit. It was a lot of fun. I definitely recommend it if you're a Rami Malek fan. If you're an intense drama type fan, definitely check it out. It was a lot of fun. I would say probably 4 out of 5. I'd give it. It was definitely entertaining.
Okay,
I enjoyed it.
Yeah. Speaking of the Punisher, I saw that he's in the new Accountant 2 with
yes, I can't wait to see that. I'm gonna check that out too. That looks like a lot of fun. Yeah, if you haven't seen the Accountant, again, that it's
I feel like
Ben
somebody came
Ben
out.
Affleck is like a contract killer, an assassin
Yeah.
type, but there's a little twist to like his personality and stuff like that. Like that movie was a lot more entertaining than I expected it to be. So I'm actually glad that they made a part 2. And it looks like it's going to go right off of the first one. So yeah, that should be good. I did also go see A Working Man with Jason Statham.
Oh yeah, yeah.
Don't waste your time, bro. I like Jason Statham, and yes, he does play pretty much the same character in every movie,
exact same
bro.
Jason Statham movie I've ever
But
seen.
this was like because I saw The Beekeeper a couple months ago, and that was actually good. The story was good. That's the important thing. This one was holy shit. Like I kept looking at my watch, like, bro, like why is this movie still going? You know what I'm saying? Like they could have ended this shit 40 minutes ago, but it's 2 hours long. And after an hour and 20 minutes, you're gonna be asking why is this still going? They could have wrapped this shit up a while ago. But yeah, he's good kicking ass or whatever. But no, I would not.
The same character in every movie. What's the
right?
job?
Yeah, I would not. I mean, if you have if you're an AMC A-lister and it's basically free to go, sure, go. But if not, just wait for streaming. You can watch that one. But The Amateur, definitely check that one out.
What's the job? I'm just a beekeeper. I'm just a construction worker.
Right.
I'm just a bakery man.
Right.
You know, he plays.
Yeah. It was like, I think me and John joked about it that it was like the dollar store version of Taken.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. You know what I'm saying? Essentially is what that was.
Yeah. So yeah, that I figured like it looked. I'm like, oh, this was just every Jason Statham movie.
Yeah.
Ever.
And again, I usually don't mind it as long as it's a good story because I mean I like his action or whatever.
I'm just a driver.
Right, but
I'm just a bakery guy.
Yeah.
Just make the eggs, you know.
Yeah. So definitely skip that one. But if you're gonna go to the movies, The Amateur, highly recommend it. It was a lot of fun.
All right. Well, Johnny, I listened to some new music this past week, and you know what? Wouldn't be surprised. It came out a couple weeks ago, but Will Smith put out a new album called "Based on a True Story," and I ain't gonna lie to you, man. I think it fucking slaps. I mean, there's some songs on there where I was like, okay, man, like really, obviously still doesn't really swear, but just he's got some really good beats. And it's not like pop, like, you know what I mean? Like he had them like back in the day, you know what I mean? He had some like those pop rap songs. It's like not really like that, but it's, you know, I thought the whole album was pretty decent. Like it's not.
I like, you know, the Fresh Prince. You know what I'm saying? To go back on, you know what I'm saying? I liked his music from back in the day.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? So I like Will Smith, so I'm definitely gonna have to check it out. I don't know if a pun was intended when you said it slaps. You know what I'm saying? But
it actually. I mean, I guess we could say pun intended.
But yeah, no, I would definitely
some of the
check.
beats hit as hard as him. He hit Chris Rock, you know, maybe a little harder actually.
Yeah. But yeah, no, I mean, I've always kind of like, you know what I'm saying, Will Smith. He's always had some good stuff. Yeah, some of his shit be cheesy sometimes, but there's always, you know, a couple of good songs in his albums that you can rock to. So yeah, definitely need to check this one out then.
Yeah, a couple. Here's a couple of my favorites. Tantrum with Joyner Lucas. The first song on the album, it's called Enter INT Barbershop, and then featuring DJ Jazzy Jeff. Like that one was pretty good. Nice. The Reverend he had some like good ones. Hard Times. So like he had some like there's some good hits on there where, you know what I mean, where you're just like, again, there's only 14 songs, about 37 minutes long. So, but it's a good album, man. I was pretty impressed. So right. Yeah, like I'd give it a solid 3.5 to 4, almost out of 5. Nice. Yeah, definitely have to check that one out then. Yeah, for sure. All right, Johnny. Next weekend is I texted you yesterday. I said, hey, next weekend's WrestleMania. Let's do top 5. But I didn't want to do top 5 wrestlers. Like I feel like we've done that. So a while back during the Royal Rumble, I did top 5 like wrestling. wrestling theme songs, but I said let's do top 5 catchphrases because WrestleMania is next weekend. So you know me, I'm gonna be all settled in, getting ready to watch WrestleMania next week, 2-night event along with Easter. So it'll be, you know, we'll have to tie it all in together. Then the following week got the draft. So next week, in honor of Easter, we're going to do top 5 greatest player sports comebacks. You know, because Jesus come back, you know, after being dead for 3 days. So you know, we're going to honor Jesus next week and do comebacks because he came back. But this week's great top 5 is going to be in honor of WrestleMania week. The top 5 greatest wrestling catchphrases. I'll let you go as always. I'll let you give your number 5 first.
All right, and in honor of WrestleMania, and we talked about this before the show. I'm not as much into wrestling as I was when I was a kid. I'm older than Nick, so when I was a kid, it was a long time ago. But I'm gonna put my number 5, the man behind the WrestleMania. But what you gonna do when the Hulkster comes for you? So I'll put number 5. I'll give it to Hulk Hogan with that one.
Yeah, no, that's you know, we got the 22-inch pythons, brother.
Yeah. Make sure you're taking your vitamins.
Yes. Okay. Mine is I guess whether it was the Click that started it, whether it was NWO, but you know, you got to throw up the Too Sweet, and it's still being used today. Whether, you know, I think the Click, which was, you know, made up of Kevin Nash, Scott Hall, Triple H, and HBK, and then they used it in NWO, and now you're seeing it in you know, the Bullet Club and NJPW. They still use it. So my number 5 is none other than something that you could do with your friends back in the day, you know, and that was just Too Sweet.
Nice.
So that was my number 5. What's your number 4?
My number 4, again, going back to the old school days, I'm giving it to none other than Randy Macho Man Savage with his "Ooh yeah."
Oh yeah.
So that's gonna be number 4 for me.
That's still being used today. It's
Yeah,
on the Slim Jim fucking commercials.
Hell
right?
yeah, just
So, I mean,
snap into a Slim Jim, baby.
Yeah. So you know, rest in peace, Macho Man. But yeah,
absolutely.
That's
a classic.
Yeah. When it's still being used today, I feel like that's an all-timer, you know. I went back to kind of back in the day too for my number 4, and it's none other than the Rolex wearing, jet flying, limousine riding, gator boot stomping, Mr. Ric Flair. Can give me 2 claps and a woo. You know, again, something that people still use to this day when they do something exciting, and that's give it the good old Ric Flair woo.
I'm with you on that one. I actually have that one higher on my list, so I'm not going to go with it now. But he was probably my favorite wrestler next to like Dusty Rhodes. Again, I'm older. It was him, Dusty Rhodes.
Battles, you know. Flair is the heel, and Dusty is the face. Yeah.
But yeah, so yeah, I got that a little higher on my list. But I do have another one of his for my number 3.
Okay.
And it was, to be the man, you gotta beat the man, and that was part of what he said, along with the whole, you know, jet flying, you know, saying all that stuff, and then his woo at the end. But yeah, to be the man, you gotta beat the man. Was something Ric Flair always said back in the day. So.
Okay. Yeah, I like that one. So we're both kind of on. We both had some Flair in there. Yeah. My number 3 is none other than, you know, the know your role and shut your mouth. The Rock. How many times, you know, at least kids, people my age, that you know, when we grew up, they had to. How many times did we say that to people? And so I had to give it to the Rock. You know, because. You got to know your role and shut your mouth. Turn that son of a bitch sideways and shove it straight up your candy ass. So I went with the Rock.
Yeah, no, that's a great one. I mean, that's something that could be used now when you say to people. Again, I try to keep my list to like wrestlers that I actually watched, but I do love that one, you know what I'm saying, from him. I also love, you know what I'm saying, I don't know if you have it on your list, but you know what I'm saying, because Stone Cold said so, like that's a good one. You know what I'm saying? So props to him. But I didn't watch much of their wrestling, so I didn't want to, you know what I'm saying? But my number 2, and this one easily could have been number 1 because he was one of the best wrestlers when I was younger. But I am the best there is, the best there was, the best there ever will be by none other than Bret Hart.
Yeah. Shout out to our guy, Jim Behringer loves Bret Hart. That's his favorite wrestler. So
he was definitely one of my favorite ones. Yeah. Absolutely.
Yeah, you just said my number 2, and that's the bottom line because Stone Cold said so. So that's my number 2. Like that's, you know, we all said it, or give me a hell yeah, you know, but that's the bottom line because Stone Cold said so. You know, it's one of those catchphrases that will always stick, you know, with me for life. So
nice.
That was my number 2. What's your number 1 wrestling catchphrase?
My number 1 is, you know what I'm saying, you said it before. I did it write down, and I wish I would have wrote down his whole thing about the you know what I'm saying, Rolex wearing, jet flying, you know what I'm saying. Again, he was my favorite wrestler, him and Dusty Rhodes. But yeah, nothing, in my opinion, nothing could beat the woo from Ric Flair. Like everybody knows that, even people that aren't really wrestling fans. You know what I'm saying? So yeah, my number, and just his whole persona. Like Ric Flair was awesome, bro.
Yeah, number 1, and anybody that is probably the age of, I'll say 40 to, let's just say 30. 10 years. There's at one point in time, if you were a male in your life and you had, whether wrestling or not wrestling, really, we got 2 words for you, and that's suck it. I mean, how many times as a kid did you get in trouble for that? That is the greatest wrestling catchphrase of all time for me, because everybody that I know, we still do the, you know, the X chop, and we still tell people to suck it 20 years later. And, you know, we plenty of times we got sent to the principal's office or that because we told somebody to suck it. So we got 2 words for you. Suck it.
Right. Nice. Yeah, that's a good one. And again, like you said, it can easily be used in a conversation. So just to get his whole quote proper, because I got to give Ric Flair his due. It's the styling, profiling, limousine riding, jet flying, kiss stealing, wheeling and dealing, son of a gun. You know what I'm saying? That is the one and only Ric Flair. And of course, the woo at the end.
Yeah. There were several. You know, I thought about Undertaker's "Rest in Peace" catchphrase. Shout out. Some newer ones that I've enjoyed. Chris Jericho had a run where you just made the list. You know, that was one of my favorite ones for a while when he was using it. Even today, like I don't really say it, but it's like the Jey Uso, the yeet. Seems like you know, that's obviously a lot of that's his catchphrase right now, and kids say that all the time too. So. You know, so there's just been several, but those were our top 5. His WrestleMania will be starts Saturday and Sunday, 2-night event. I'm excited for it.
When did they go to the 2-night thing? You know what I'm saying? Because again, I haven't watched wrestling for a long time.
Since COVID.
Okay, that's when they started going to a 2-night event. Because I remember it just being the one night, and it was like for several hours. But it was like.
Yeah, I just had this conversation last night with my buddy. Like he's similar to you, like lost, you know, just, you know, people grow out of it or whatever, and knows like I'm still a fan. He's like, when did they go to like the 2-night? I said, since like, you know, like COVID,
right?
But like it was before that. It was like you said, like it was one night, but it's like 14 matches, and you're sitting from like noon to midnight. It's like a 12-hour fucking thing. So it's like, do you do that again, or do you go back to the 2, you know, because me and Jim Behringer have this conversation all the time. Like night 2 seems like I'm just not quite into it as much, you know, because like it's like we had like the climactic thing from night 1, and then it's like, oh, I got to get my emotions back up into it for night 2. So it's harder. So like night 2 seems to always kind of drag a little bit until you get to the main event.
I mean, I actually like the idea of the 2 nights. I think that's a smart, but they, like you're saying, they're gonna have to like figure out a way to make sure that second night carries as much weight as the first one. You know what I'm saying? So that way it keeps the excitement. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Because I remember back in the day, those WrestleManias was like 5, 6, 7 out. Like it was like holy shit. It was like all night and shit, all day.
Yeah, like clear out the calendar, clear out the day from noon to midnight. I'm watching. So, but then like by the time like those got to the late nights, you're just like, God damn, I'm ready for this thing to end. Like, so it's hard, but I think the 2 nights, obviously, if you're from a marketing standpoint and a money standpoint, a business standpoint, it's fucking genius. You know what I mean?
Right.
Or we can get more money if we do this. We split it in half, and we get everybody to come back and spend. You buy 2 tickets, you buy more tickets. So like all this stuff,
I mean. With what you're saying, as far as like the second one, like they're gonna have to set it up to where the first night leads into the second night. You know what I'm saying? To keep that drama going, to where it's like, oh shit, we gotta watch the second night to see how it concludes and stuff like that.
So
you know what I'm saying?
Last year was the first year they did that. The main event changed into how the second main event night of main. This year, not so much. But because this year night 1 is Roman Reigns versus Seth Rollins versus CM Punk, and then night 2 you're getting Cody Rhodes versus heel John Cena. So
I heard about that. He went heel.
Yeah. So I mean that's equivalent to like Hogan turning heel.
That's crazy.
So
nice.
Interesting like how they're going to do that. But like you said, last year was like that, and it's really just like the matches leading up to it. I don't know. It's like maybe it's just a me thing, or maybe I've talked to other people. They kind of feel the same way. It's like night 2 is just like you're like, man, we're like, it's like you blew your load night 1, and you're like, God damn, like now we got to do this again, like
right. I hear you.
Hard, but yeah. All right, my man. Well, you got anything else you want to dump out before we get out of here?
Nah, man, I'm good, man. Just had a lot of fun with this one again. The amateur, a lot of fun, entertaining. Definitely check that out. A working man can wait till streaming. And next weekend, I'm gonna be watching Sinners with Michael B. Jordan. That looked awesome. So I'll be reviewing that one next Sunday. So I'm looking forward to that one. Besides that, I'm gonna LTS Monday nights. Check it out. And the Kendall Sports Network, we're going to have a big draft show coming up. So definitely look into that one. I'll have more info on that next Sunday as well.
Yeah. I'll be reminiscent. Shout out to my guy, Whit. Happy birthday to the big homie.
Happy birthday, bro.
My co-host on Head Kicks and Haymakers. Whit's birthday's today, so shout out to Whit.
Nice.
Happy birthday to him. So big shout out to the homie. And other than that, folks, be a friend, tell a friend, like, subscribe, share. We'll see you this time next week, 8:00 a.m. Central. We'll still do an Easter morning show. We all got a little bit older kids, so it's supposed to. I swear it fucking rains here every year on Easter. Every fucking year it's been raining here on Easter.
Well, hopefully it's a much better day for you, bro.
Yeah, well, it's supposed to rain next weekend here on Easter, so imagine that. But other than that, be a friend, tell a friend, like, subscribe, share. We'll be back next week. Hope everybody has the best week that you can have. Hopefully, this is the best week of your life, and your worst days today, or your best day today is your worst day tomorrow. So, other than that, see you, folks.
Peace.
Thanks so much for joining us, and until next time, let's talk sport, friends. Thanks for watching.